Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UNX News Radio podcast, your news source for all things unexplained. And now, here's your host for the UNX News podcast, Margie K.
Welcome to UNX News Radio. I'm your host, Margie K., and this is the place where we talk about all things unexplained. I have a great show for you today. We're going to continue our Mothman interviews and discussion. There will be a series of these programs that will involve different people with the different experiences with Mothman. Today, my guest is Tony Degn. I've known Tony for several years. He has been in the military. He was a police officer, security officer, and various other things. He's traveled around the country, and he has had some very, very bizarre things happen to him. And today we're going to focus on Mothman and maybe some things that led up to Mothman. Welcome to the program, Tony.
Thank you.
So, Tony, let's, I don't want to go into every single thing that's happened with you because it's a lot today. So we'll get to some other things later. But I'd like to start with the fact that you are a UFO experiencer and there could be some connection. So that's why I bring that up. And you've had a number of UFO sightings, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when did that start for you? About what age?
I'd have to say it's been about 18 that I recall.
You were 18, and something really bizarre happened at that time. I would like you to go ahead and let everybody know about that particular event, since it was the first one that was very significant.
Okay, the first one was a baptismal date with LDS Church, Mormon Church, and I was scheduled to be baptized, me and my baptizer, at I believe it was 3:00, and it was in Independence, Missouri, and we're en route to go, and bizarre things started happening to my friend's car. Radio shut off. Windshield wipers were doing all kinds of crazy things, and the car just shut down. So anyways, we're en route, and we finally get to church, and thinking maybe half hour passed by, tops an hour, that maybe it was 4:00. And from my recollection, we get there, and a bishop and a stake president said, "We were worried sick. Where have you guys been?" And we had a little car trouble, and they said, "Well, it's like 7:00. You're really late." And so a lot of lost time there that neither one of us could account for.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the things that would be high on the list of strange things that have happened to you. And
Yes.
So various things happened over the years, and you even witnessed a UFO crash.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that one?
2013, my father had been diagnosed with inoperable cancer throughout his whole body, and he was in Utah, and I was here in Lee Summit, and I took my son, and we went to so I could say goodbye to him before he passed away. And on my way through Emporia, Kansas, I want to say it was either, I think 40 or I-70 or something like that. It's dark, and there's not a lot of people out on the road, the freeway. All of a sudden, I observed to I would say that would be southwest, a green glowing object. If I could say approximate size would be about 25 feet in diameter, was coming from the sky at a really fast pace toward the earth. Stops, zigzags, stops, and crashes. And then within seconds, tops 10 seconds, emergency vehicles were coming to the scene. And then I passed them on my way going to Utah.
Well, that is up there in the high strangeness category, and that certainly doesn't sound like a meteor or anything like that, especially the zigzagging around. I understand it moved very quickly.
Yes, it just came down from the sky, just completely stops out of nowhere and just zigzags after that. If I could, it's just zoop, and then crashes. And just, that's basically what I saw. And I knew it wasn't of this earth. I knew it wasn't a helicopter, a plane, anything I know of that the military has. And wasn't an asteroid, wasn't a meteorite for sure, because I know what they look like and I know what they do, or a shooting star. So
What
it was
would you
obviously
say was
intelligently controlled.
okay? What would you say was the closest military base to that event?
I'd have to say that was Fort Riley, Kansas.
Hmm.
I do believe.
Okay. So the emergency vehicles that came out, did they look like they were civilian or military?
From the distance I was going, there was no way to pinpoint that to any correct detail. But if I had to say it was EMTs, it was probably EMTs.
And did you see anything in the distance? Was there anything like fire or a glow?
I was actually looking for that and did not see anything.
Okay. So let's go on to Mothman now, since we're focused on that subject for the moment. When was your first sighting of something that you thought may have been a Mothman or a flying humanoid?
Well, roughly a year after my father had passed, I started having really strange events at my apartment complex in Lee Summit, Missouri. And we're talking, white objects that look like the moon, but then it's moving, following me to vehicles following me. What I would call white SUVs, CIA is what it looked like to me, and telling me, and then when I tell them to back off, all five of the vehicles backed off, and well, it was during daytime. I was going for a walk in the apartment complex, and I looked up and I noticed that in the sky there was only like one cloud, and it was directly above by my apartment, very small cloud, and it just really caught my attention. I thought that was really strange. So I basically get underneath it. It's maybe 200 feet up in the air, and I'm just looking at it, just being curious, and that's when about a 20-foot size bird looking like a human being came out of the cloud, started flapping its wings, and I could tell the reason it looked like a human being to me is the legs were bent, like as if we put some kind of mechanized wings on us and we were just taking off, our legs wouldn't be straight, they'd be bent because of the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it looked like to me. And it was just staring at me. It happened maybe 20 seconds, goes back in the clouds, and I grabbed my phone and I wait, hope the thing would come out. And I waited approximately 10 to 20 minutes, and it never came out again.
Was that the only cloud in the sky that day?
Absolutely. There was no other cloud.
When
and
did
that's
that
what had caught my
occur?
attention. That's say approximately June, July 2014, if I recall right.
Okay, yeah, we did that. I included that in the book. I'm currently finishing up a book about Mothman, and the book started with events that happened in Missouri, but then I started getting reports from other states and expanding it, and I pushed off the date, so it'll be, sometime this year. But
exciting.
There's more big stuff coming. But yours is one of the biggest cases that I've worked on, Tony, as far as regarding UFOs and these flying creatures, and also strange creatures. I remember a number of years ago, this may have been 2012, you sent me a photo. You were outside and you saw these strange shadows on the ground that looked like kind of like birds, but not like any known birds. And you took a picture of that. I still have that. Tell me about how that happened.
Oh, I was just sitting in my office, phosphorescent office for Gordman's, and watching my CCTV monitors. And also, all of a sudden, on the outside PTZ, where I'd had it preset, I saw something really fast going through the camera, side of the camera. So then I rewinded, looked at the video just out of curiosity, and I just saw the strangest. I don't know how to explain them. They were like sticks with wings on them or something, and they were going really fast. But I slowed it down to a view where I could view it. There was a few of them from what I recall. I'd never seen anything like that.
No, I haven't either, and I haven't been able to get them identified by bird people that I say ornithologists. I have my brother-in-law is an ornithologist and a bird watcher,
Yeah.
and he said he did not recognize those at all. It was very strange. So
Yes.
after this incident where you have this like humanoid type creature with wings come out of the cloud and stare at you for a while and then go back, what was your next event?
Next event would have been one night I was getting hungry and I wanted to walk to the price chopper from the apartment complex. And as I'm walking through there, I saw what I thought, what really caught my attention. It was nighttime and there was this big patch of clouds really low towards the ground, maybe 100 feet up in the air. And I thought what I was seeing was the moon inside. But as I'm walking underneath this cloud and heading toward Price Chopper, this moon is following me. And I haven't had so many cases in my life and sightings. I just shook my head and said, I'm not even looking. And I continued to walk to the store. Roughly about an hour later, when I got home, I just wanted to go for a walk, not necessarily to the store, but just for a walk. And I'm going down the street that runs opposite the apartment. And as I'm getting within maybe 10 feet of a street light, it flickers and goes off. And immediately after that, I see this, I don't know what it was. It was a really big, four-legged walking man-like dog is what I would call it. It was strange. It didn't have any clothes on or anything. It just looks back at me, makes this screeching sound that I've never heard. And then after it looks at me, it continues, it runs and goes into a bush, and I ran. I got out of there really fast. So
I'll bet. Yeah. Now, how big was this creature? Was it like human size?
Oh, much bigger. If a human being, even say a 7-foot NBA player, was on his arms and legs trying to walk like a dog, if it were to stand up, I'd say 10 feet. It was huge.
Wow. Did you get any idea as to color or if it had fur or hair on it?
I did not see any hair. It was tannish. Yeah, basically tan. I would call it like a light brownish tan to it.
And you didn't see any wings on this creature?
No.
Okay.
No.
So yeah, we'll chalk that up to some strange cryptids that have been seen in the greater Kansas City area. And there have been quite a few. I'm going to be talking about those on future shows. But yeah, you've had the gamut though, Tony. You've got a little bit of everything happen. So from there, when was your next event regarding a flying creature?
Next event would be on my way from Liberty, Missouri to Independence on 291 highway. I was approximately a mile from the bridges that go south, north, south, and I was at a stoplight. It was nighttime. I can't recall the exact time, around 10:30. And I'm the only one at the stoplight. It's red. And this huge bird. Like I said, if I had to guess, between 10 and 15 feet in wingspan, flies toward me at approximately maybe 10 feet up in the air. Just flaps its wings, stares at me, stares me down, and then slowly starts to fly back up, take off. And needless to say, I freaked out. As soon as that green light turned on, I was gone. So,
Was anybody else at that intersection?
I don't recall anybody else being there. No.
And that area is not far from the Missouri River, we should point out. Did the creature, did you notice anything like glowing eyes with it? Because that is reported often.
I did. And especially the day sighting one, I mean, I didn't see anything. All I can say is it's not any kind of bird I've ever seen. And I don't know of any birds that big except back in time in prehistoric. Not now.
Now, was the body like a humanoid body with legs?
Yes, it did the same thing as the daylight sighting. It bent its legs as trying to take off. And I think, yeah, exactly like that.
Did it seem to have difficulty staying aloft?
As it's first trying to take off, yes. And you could tell that it had a lot of weight to it. That's for sure.
Okay. So now we're going to go to a more recent couple of sightings that you had. The first one was very brief, and you were actually on the Kansas side, going on 35 South, I believe. Let's talk about that one.
Well, after getting these sightings, and I had to relate it to also UFO sightings. All I can say is it's like I can now just feel presence. I know when there's UFO around. I know when there's the Mothman around. And I was at the airport and just picked up a Kansas City Chiefs player, and it was taking him home to Kansas. Took him home, and then I got back to the airport to get some gas. I looked at my watch, and I'm like, it seemed like I lost some time or something there I couldn't explain. And I happened to look up at my roof because I saw something strange, and I looked at it, and just these small, maybe 2 inches in width, urine-like drops all over my roof of my vehicle. And I mean, all over, no other place, not on the hood, not on the trunk, not on the sides of the car, not on the windshield, just on the roof. And of course, I let you know about that, and that's how that happened.
And didn't you tell me that while you were traveling with your passenger, that you both noticed there were very few vehicles on the road?
There were very few. Yes. Yep.
So that's something that you took note of and you actually talked about while you were driving. And I'll just so the audience knows, that is a very, very busy highway, 24 hours a day, especially that time of day. It should have been very busy with lots of cars.
It should have been, yes, especially in Kansas.
And I also want to point out that before you did this trip, you got gas and you had been out of the vehicle and you would have noticed anything on the hood of the car or on the roof of the car, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. Because I check my vehicle every day, see if it needs to have a wash or vacuumed, or it's a common procedure. So.
Right. Now you mentioned that you have a feeling, some sort of a sensation if there's a UFO around, or if there's this winged creature or Mothman type being around. And other people have reported this too. So this is not an unusual thing. What we think is happening is some type of an energy that these things put off, that some human beings actually pick up. And especially if they are an experiencer and they have been around these things for a while, then you kind of know when they're there.
Right.
And each time this happens, you get more and more accustomed to it. Correct?
Correct. correct. Give an example. Branson, Missouri. From the time I moved into this lot, or not a lot, I'm sorry, studio apartment, which faces the east and off to the north. The strange cloud. I noticed it at one point, within a month of living there. Huge cloud, that it was circular in nature, and I knew exactly at that moment, that time, I started feeling that there was a huge craft inside that, and it continued to do that for approximately a year and a half. I'd feel it being there, and it got even stranger. One night, I'm rehearsing, and I'm entertainer, singer, and I'm on my way to the landing, Branson Landing, and there's this walkway bridge thing, and I'm standing there just looking at the water and watching the ducks, and I observed to my left something bright. So I look, and it's this glowing object, circular in nation, and then I noticed 2 helicopters flying toward it, and they're circling around it, watching it. It moves a little bit, not really fast or anything like that, just moves and then disappears. And then the helicopters take off, and then once again I see another glow to my right, and I look, and there's the object again, and it comes out of a cloud. I almost have to say it's like it's watching me, particular. It was looking for me, watching me. Then it goes back into the cloud, and I believe I showed you a picture that. It was a red object is what it looked like when it was red and glowing with like an orange light inside of it. And just went back in the clouds, and I went on my way. And that was the helicopter following these objects happened at least on 3 occasions in Branson. So one day, or one night I should say, was you had come to see at Gillies Theater. I think you were coming to see Six.
Yes.
And it was that before you got there that I observed that object off to a distance. It was another object very similar, with looked like fighter jets circling about it and following it. And
Wow.
yeah.
Well, and you know, as I do, that the Branson area is a huge UFO hotspot.
Oh, yeah.
We get lots of reports from people, and also on some of the Facebook groups where people are not filing an official report, but they talk about these things all the time.
I bet. Yep.
Yeah, so you were not the only one seeing things in Branson, but you did get some good photos, and,
Oh, yeah.
and that's unusual.
Yeah, if I can, my last sighting in Branson before I moved to come here. How do I explain this? As once again, I was walking around by my apartment on about 2nd Street, not too far from the landing, and I see an object bright again coming out of a cloud, really slow, comes a little toward me a little bit, and if I had to say the distance from me to the craft was probably a mile. And I recorded this, and this lasted like 10 minutes. And when I reviewed the video the next day, I reviewed it in slow motions and stuff like that, still photos. In the Bible, if I may, it talks about the will of Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
I tease everybody when I show them the pictures and say the will of Tony. It was a will within a will.
Okay.
And I'd never observed that before, but I felt like it'd been following me for a long time. California, other places, like it was protecting me, watching over me.
So it was the same craft, you mean, during your travels?
Yes, I'm pretty sure of it. In Oklahoma, for sure.
Okay.
I didn't get a photo of that, but it's just this feeling I get. I know that it's benevolent, it's loving, it's caring, and it's watching over me.
You get the same sort of feeling when this Mothman creature's around?
I get mixed feelings. I don't know what to think. Sometimes I'm scared. And I mean, the other day, going over that bridge on 291 outside of Liberty, and I felt it very, very, very strong as I'm going over the bridge, and I knew that it was underneath me. Was it sleeping or whatever it was doing? I have no idea, but I felt its presence very strong, and that I was scared.
Well, this bridge that you're talking about goes over the Missouri River.
Yes.
There have been sightings there, UFO sightings at least, and also, perhaps related, Bigfoot sightings.
Wow.
In fact, there have been several. Yes, I've been working on several cases. There is one person in particular who has been seeing UFOs and actually seen ETs on her property, extraterrestrials. She's also seen winged creatures that are unexplained. And I'm going to have her on the program, but she lives very close to that area. And, you know, there are other reports as well. So there's some high strangeness going on. And I will say this, I've done several investigations at the park near that bridge with other investigators. And every time we get kind of a weird, creepy feeling, and we don't know why this is, but it definitely has to do with that spot. So I'm wondering if, like you mentioned me the other day, if perhaps this winged creature isn't hanging out there around that bridge.
Yeah, I believe it is, yes. And to be pinpoint, as I was looking at the, I get my boundaries straight here. The east side of the bridge that runs north on 291 is where I think it was exactly. And I felt like it was underneath the corner of a bridge. That's what I felt. Felt that very strong.
Well, that's definitely something we're going to have to investigate further.
Yep.
So we will do that. We'll do that with another team of investigators too. But I want to go back now for a minute to the event where it looks like urine or some kind of substance on top of your vehicle.
Right.
Because the next thing that happened was you brought the vehicle to me the next day, and it was cold that day, but it was above freezing. And I took a series of photos, and I took a sample to send to the MUFON lab in Missouri. I had, and so Lynn Mann analyzed that sample, but I also sent pictures to our video analysis team. They came up with the same questions that I did about these blotches that were on your vehicle.
Right.
Were crystallized. They were actually crystallized. And in order to have that occur, it needs to be below freezing. But it was not. It was above freezing. So none of us could explain that.
Right.
And then the other thing that we all noticed is that there was a lot of this substance. So
yeah.
So whatever it was something big, something really big to have done this.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was saying. It had to be used because the amount of drops, because no human being does that, and no little bird does that, or that I know of, and there were so many of them.
Right. Right.
And yeah, I think it had to been really close to it as well. And if you remember, we saw indentations on the side of the driver or passenger side that was bent in, or driver's side that was bent in as if it was a claw grabbing.
Yeah, on the door frame.
Yeah.
There still are 3 indentations.
Yes.
And that is unexplained too, because there wasn't anything there before. You didn't have any scratches on your vehicle or anything like that. No. And so that's a very strange thing.
But, still a pretty new vehicle.
Right. So far on the testing results, what has happened is the MUFON lab, Lynn Mann, has determined that whatever the substance was is urine. But from what? And so she checked the pH level. The pH level matches that urine. there's more DNA testing being done because we're trying to test for different possible birds, large birds. And so this may take a while to get done. We've got to get other, some samples donated to the lab so that then she can do the comparative analysis.
Right.
But the results are so far that this is extremely odd. It's definitely not a normal thing to have happened. And then you couple that with your missing time that occurred, plus the lack of vehicles on the highway that you and your passenger noticed.
Right.
And then this strange substance just suddenly appearing that you have no idea where it came from, and the indentations on the vehicle. So it could be, I'm hoping that this comes up with evidence of this creature, because it's very difficult. It's very elusive, whatever this is. And nobody's been able to, capture one, for one thing. So perhaps this will be evidence.
If I might add a couple things here regarding the Mothman.
Sure.
If you'll remember when I moved into place a year ago, I was startled about something. Something caught my attention. I woke up and I looked out the window into my car, and I see somebody in all black with a black hat messing with my vehicle, going like it's going through things. I grabbed my gun and I went outside and made contact with whoever this was. They were gone. Following that event, within hours, a government helicopter flew straight over the house. After that, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Well, no, I just wanted to clarify that whatever this person was inside your vehicle, correct?
Yes, and appeared to be very tall, whoever it was, whatever it was. I contribute to like stories of Men in Black, which watching and studying documentaries and this and that, I've noticed there seems to be a correlation between Ingrid Cole and Men in Black and the Mothman, and that just hit me like a ton of bricks. There's got to be something related there.
That's very odd. And you've also had an event occur inside your house where you thought that this creature was standing.
Yes, I was in the second bedroom sleeping, and something startled me and woke me up. All the lights were off. There were no lights on in the house, and so it was pretty dark in there. And I'm laying on my back. I look up and I see these two red eyes, approximately this, almost up into the ceiling. It was so high, looking down on me. And I just closed my eyes, and I got a little scared and opened it, and it had left. It was gone.
Was there any sound?
And I didn't hear any sound. But once again, within a few hours of the event, a military helicopter once again flew over the house. It seems to happen a lot.
Yeah. And you also get followed by military vehicles once in a while.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I've been followed by CIA. I've been followed by FBI. They were tracked into my computer in California after I gave a UFO speech interview, much like what I'm doing now. It tapped into my computer, and I saw them. And once they seen that I saw them, they cut out real quick. This is going on and on constantly. And whenever I have sightings, there's something going to happen, whether it's a Black Ops helicopter following me down the freeway all the way to my house, or the black helicopter flies directly over my apartment, nowhere else. And I get it on video, and I say, I know who you are, leave me alone. It goes and leaves. Yeah, so I know they hear me, and they know I know who they are, but why they do this, I have no idea.
Before one of your more recent sightings, you were at the airport and you saw some strange things at the airport.
Correct.
And if I recall, this was just before you had a Mothman sighting. So let's revisit that for a minute and tell what happened.
Yeah. Oh, on this. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
The gold orb.
Yeah.
At the airport.
Early that day, I think it was that day, I had what I thought was a Mothman sighting. I was coming westbound, heading east toward the small airport, and I noticed off to the southeast, or southwest, excuse me a second, a large bird. And there were no clouds in the sky. And there were these two towers that I recall, like radio towers. And it was flying about the height of those. And if I had to guess a height again, I'd have to say 10, 15 feet, something in that nature, maybe 20. Hard to tell from that distance, but it was huge. It was no bird that I've seen that I know of. It wasn't a vulture that I could tell, or, anything like that. And then, as you mentioned, you brought up just a second ago, was at the airport. It was nighttime, and I see this glow object. What caught my attention about it was a lot like the green one that I saw in Emporia, Kansas, UFO crash. And it was similar in nature in how it was pulsating. It comes down at a straight shot really fast. First of all, there's these two booms that are working on the new terminal, Kansas City Airport, and you've got the tower. And it comes in between the two booms that they use to make the building. It comes down at fast speed from the sky, stops, and then glows, pulsates, disappears. Then I get into the terminal, but I get into the inner part of the terminal before you get to gate 1. And I look for it again, and I see it, and it just comes on, and it fades out again. And then I didn't see it again after that. And then I picked up my passenger. But I don't know if any helicopters could do what that thing did, or to me, once again, it was very, like I said, it's very much like the Emporia crash, except orange, not green. It didn't zigzag, just came straight down really fast.
You mentioned to me recently that you felt the presence of this Mothman creature around you. Are you feeling that now?
As we're talking?
Well, I mean, now or recently?
Last night, yes.
Okay, what happened?
It was through Liberty. So on my way to going home. It was about a mile north of the bridge. I felt it again, very strong. And as I'm getting close to the bridge, the feeling was gone. So I think it was just briefly around me. And as I was headed southbound, it had just stayed in that area, basically. I didn't feel it after that. And I even tried to see if I would feel it again when I went over the bridge, and I did.
Do you think that your UFO sightings and these Mothman sightings are related in any way?
I'd say yes, judging by evidence of everything. The helicopters being pursued, this, that. Yes, I would have to say so. That's what I believe.
Well, with these things happening in close together in time, UFO sighting, Mothman sighting, military helicopters around the same time period. As an investigator, I would say we have to look at that as being connected. Absolutely. That that there is something to it. So, we're continuing this investigation and getting deeper into it. And other investigators are getting involved in some of the cases like this, and yours is one of them. So, we're determined to get to the bottom of it if we possibly can. We may not ever know all the answers, but there definitely is some type
One day we will. One day we'll know.
I hope so. And, I wonder what the government interest is. Obviously, they're interested in whatever this thing is.
Yes.
So, I know you'll keep in touch with me because we're working on this together. But, and it's a scary thing, too, to see. I'm just hoping that you can get a really good video of this thing sometime.
Well, what perplexes me most out of everything is going from 1984, 83, I'm sorry, 83 till now, is why I get so many sightings. Why do I see so many UFOs? Why do I see so many of these experiences? And, that's a question I want answered more than anything.
Well, that is a good question. And a lot of what we call experiencers, and those are people who have frequent sightings or close encounters, do have a lot. They don't just have one, they have a lot. And then other people will never have one. They'll never see anything strange. They'll never see a UFO.
Right.
And who knows why that is? There's different theories about it. Some having to do with different levels of consciousness, possibly, and awareness, and also just paying attention, because a lot of people don't look up. They're not looking for these things. They just don't. Some people might not believe they exist at all, so they're not looking.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that happens.
If I may add of something, I've had really strange experiences with time as well. Like in Branson, I've gone back in time, 15 minutes, no explanation. Frozen time, which I really have no clue how that happens. And of course, gone ahead in time, which this has happened on occasion, probably 3 or 4 times to me in my life. I have no explanations.
Well, let's talk about that frozen time for just a minute. Explain that.
Well, I look at my watch and my phone to see what time it is. Not my watch, my phone. I'm sorry, I didn't have a watch. My phone, and it's an iPhone. Their time just doesn't stop on these things. They keep going. And I noticed it was, if I recall the time, I think it was 1:15 or 2:15. And I was walking from that point that I looked to see what time it was to go to work, which was about 6 blocks away. And I'm walking, and approximately 15 minutes gone by, at least to get to my job site. And I look, it says the same time again, and I can't explain it.
This may sound odd, but I have had the same thing happen. I had it happen a few weeks ago. I was left home. It was a certain time, and as something caught my eye, and I looked at the clock again after I'd been in the vehicle for 2 or 3 minutes. It was the same time, and then when I got to my office, the time finally changed over to the next minute. Well, my drive is a 10-minute drive.
Wow.
So yeah, and I did not ever have that experience that I can recall until after you told me about your incident with missing or with frozen time. Kind of crazy stuff. I am going to do a program on time anomalies coming up. So would you come back for that?
Absolutely. If I could just touch base on one more. If you recall the one on the landing, I had dropped some passengers off on a shuttle, and I looked at the time and stuff, and I get from one side to the other side, which takes about 20 minutes on the landing at the speed of the shuttle goes, and gone back in time, 15 minutes. And then I look at my hat that I was wearing, my veteran hat, and it's got these weird spots on the top of it. And I took a photo of that. I believe I showed that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tried to look at that one time, I remember it had faded out and it was gone because of the sun. But I don't know what happened there. But I went back in time. Time went back something, and there was some kind of proof on my hat or whatever that was.
When these time anomalies occur to you, do you feel any different or notice any different type of energy in the air, maybe?
Yeah, I do. It's like I'm in a different world.
What does it feel like? What does the air feel like?
Tingly, kind of moist, something that is about the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
Definitely tingly. Something's not right. Yeah. Like I said, if I just feel like I'm in a different world. I'm not on the planet Earth or something when these things happen. It's I've never experienced before. So but it's real. All I can say is it's real.
Well, it's certainly bizarre. And the other thing that I've noticed about experiences is that they seem to attract weird things on all levels. You know, maybe ghosts or whatever. They seem to have a lot of those experiences.
Yeah.
And you certainly have had all of those things.
Yep.
And more. Very interesting stuff. The Mothman experiences that you had is in my new book, but your whole life you've had some really bizarre things happen, and things about reincarnation and reconnecting with certain people, and we're going to cover that on a future show for sure, but also in the book. So I'm doing a book writing about Tony and all of his experiences. So that's coming soon. Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Take care, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
This is Margie K with The Next News. I hope you'll join me next time right here.
You've been listening to the UNX News Podcast with Margie K. Any rebroadcast or duplication of this program or its content without express written permission from Margie K is strictly prohibited. The UNX News Podcast, in direct cooperation with the internet website margiek.com.